Well, hi, Elly. I'm going to put my, hi there. Let me put my headphone in. I meant to do that before I started. Thanks so much for your question, Elly. It's great to hear from you. And I thought I'd just do this to respond to you because, video is my jam. That's what I do. So your question is a really good one. I liked it a lot. And it was that you have, because other people are going to be watching this video, so I just want to recap it for them as well. You have a very small business. You own a sailboat, lucky you, and you do charters and package tours on the boat, correct? So your question was because you also shared with me, you've been on Facebook for 7 years and never had a sale that you felt like was directly from your Facebook page. Okay, that doesn't surprise me, and it's not because Facebook is mean. I'll tell you why that is the case in just a second. And then your other question was, do you think maybe LinkedIn should be better? Because I had posted something about LinkedIn being a good place to get free organic reach without having to pay at this point in time, which is early 2020. Again, really great question. The short answer, I'm going to tell you the short answer to it, and then go over kind of what social media really is from the small business perspective, the really small business perspective, and then how the different platforms work, just really briefly, and then what I think you should do instead before you even start thinking about where else should I be on social media. And hopefully that will give you some direction. Now, I don't know exactly what you've been doing for marketing, so if any of this is repetitive or too basic, I'm just not sure where you're starting from. So I'm just starting from the perspective of a brand new eyes on, the question that you asked me. So the short answer is no, I don't think you should be on LinkedIn. Unless you are targeting tour operators, unless that's a source of new business for you, or tour operators or travel agents, then it might make sense to be on LinkedIn. Because the whole thing that you want to do starting out in anything in a business is you start from the perspective of your audience. What are people doing on LinkedIn? The person who might be interested in your services, yes, they are probably on LinkedIn, but when they're on LinkedIn, they're not really thinking about their vacation. They may be thinking how much they want a vacation, but they're not in decision-making mode around that, most likely, right? And so that's because why are people on LinkedIn? They're there to network, to, I have our, networking businessy persona on in LinkedIn, and to, offer advice, share expertise, network, and, looking for leads. Many people are, but around business, like business to business transactions, more so than looking for a vacation or looking, for a consumer kind of purchase. Does that make sense? Same thing for Facebook, honestly, even though Facebook is not all businessy as far as, the people's personas when they're on Facebook, but people are on Facebook generally to see what their friends are up to and to see how they are looking on Facebook. We're posting things that make us look good. And we're not usually on Facebook looking for, where to spend our next vacation, unless, our friends are talking about it, or there are some groups now where you can, travel related groups that, theme related groups of all sorts, but some of those are travel, correct? So those are possibilities for where you might be found. But that's kind of a different strategy in and of itself, is Facebook groups. So it doesn't surprise me. The other reason that you haven't gotten any bookings from Facebook directly is because of a bigger question around what is social media really for? And so what it is for is there's a phase of people get to know you, right? People, first they have to hear about you, and then they get to know you, and then they get to like you or like what you have to offer, and they trust you, and then they book a trip with you. That's generally the customer journey for just about anything. So social media fits in that get to know me phase and get to like me phase, and get to trust me. So it fits in the relationship, the social space of the client journey. It's not usually the place where, especially for a bigger ticket item, which I'm assuming your packages probably are, you are less likely to just see somebody impulsively whip out a credit card when they see your stuff on Facebook and buy a package. I hope that makes sense too. Then there are, so those are kind of the psychological, thinking of where your audience is at and they are ready to book. Now, having said that, when somebody does book a vacation, what are they doing? I mean, when they are in buying mode, they need to make those plans, they need to make those plane tickets. Where do they usually go? They usually either ask their friends where they've been, or they Google it, or they do both. And then once their friends give them some ideas, then they go to a website or a Facebook page, or perhaps they're on Facebook asking their friends and they click over. So I am not saying you don't need a Facebook page. You absolutely, I think, do. But the question I think that you're asking is, how much time should I be spending on this? Is it really worth it? Basic answer is yes, it's worth it. You need to be on Facebook and keep your page, pretty fresh. But that's very different from having a more intentional social media strategy around it, right? So we'll talk about that in just a second, because you may not even need that. So back to how people actually, what is their mindset? They're Googling things and they're finding information that way. That's what's called intent. And that's the difference between the mindset when somebody comes to Facebook and or LinkedIn or even Instagram. It's more like, I just want to spend some time being entertained. I want to check out the scene. When they're on Google, they're there for a reason and they're looking for information, right? And so here's the juicy thing. Google owns YouTube. And YouTube also acts like a search engine. It is a search engine. So Google's the number one biggest. YouTube is the number two biggest search engine. Google owns YouTube. So it's very synergistic for them. And that means that if people are looking for information on Google, if Google can return a search result that has a video associated with it, and especially if that video is hosted on YouTube, you will see that in the search returns. And so that's where video really benefits any size business from a content standpoint, what kind of content to have out there. And why is that? Well, talking again about the visitor, what is he or she doing when they see a video versus when they see something written? We tend to be attracted to video. We spend more time with it. And the big platforms, all of them, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, of course, and Google, love that because that means their eyeballs are on that platform for a longer period of time. That affects their ad rates. And it also affects ad performance, because you can be shown more ads if you're spending a few moments looking at something like a video. Then they can't really show you if you're just like cruising through and clicking. Okay, so that's why video is so hot right now online. And obviously I could talk to you all day about that. So, but right now I want to keep this more about, the bigger, higher level decision about how do you spend your time on social media for your very small business. Okay. So that is all to say that what I would do first of all, before I spend any more time getting on some other social media platform, is number one, look at your prior clients. And if you haven't been in contact with the prior clients that you would like to see again, at least once a month, that's your first assignment. Dig out those emails, reestablish contact with them, start a very simple email newsletter. I'm assuming you probably already do this, but if you don't, that is job one. And if you're doing it once a month, consider twice a month and make it a goal to do it, yes, once a week. Because what you want to be doing is showing up with awesome photos that, remind them of what an amazing time they had with you on a very regular basis. And actually people love to see that kind of thing. And again, we could get into timing around it, but like in the middle of February, it's a great idea. Or, so I try not to get off too much in like brainstorming mode. So if you're not doing that already, if you don't have a robust email list of people who have already spent some time with you, because you've been doing this for a long time, that's where I would start, is getting that back together and curating that. to where you're contacting them on a regular basis, frequently. Secondly, once you start doing that, ask them for referrals. Okay. And there are some creative ways you can start to think about that too. You don't always have to do a discount on your packages if that's, I don't know what your margins are like, but you can offer something just for repeat customers or for a referral from a repeat customer that doesn't cost you a lot, but is something that means a lot to them, extra bonus of some kind. So ideas to think about with that. And so those are the two things I would max out first before I think about ramping up more time and even money spent on ads or whatever on social media. Because if you're not maxing those two things out, and you start to do that, that may actually get you to a point where you're as busy as you want to be. And it's much easier and much cheaper to make existing customers happy and have them turn them into repeat customers, and then have their friends, tell their friends, and then it is to spend time and money on social media. Okay. So having said all that, you do need to be on Facebook. I'm glad you're there because that is a place where people are starting to, they're checking, and it would be, they wouldn't book with you probably if you weren't. But that's where I would start. And beyond that, of course, my bias is video and YouTube, and I think YouTube is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So that depends upon your level of interest in several areas. And I could talk to you about what that looks like too, because it is a commitment. And that's the last thing I want to leave you with is if you do decide that you want to be more intentional on social media and actually see more leads from your social media activity, it is a commitment. You have to be consistent. And if you're not ready to make that commitment and be consistent and spend some time on it, because it is time consuming, then I would say don't even go there. Either just figure out a way to work on the other two things that we talked about, and see if that will, keeps you as busy as you need to. If it doesn't, then you could look at some ads, an ad strategy. There are ways to test that out relatively inexpensively. That's not my expertise, but I know some people. So, let me know if you have any questions around that too. But yeah, thanks for the question, and I'll see you at yoga soon. Thanks so much. Bye.